Welcome to episode 5. This week on the show we discuss a new nighttime parade rumor, new Disney pins, safety additions to rides, a major Star Wars announcement, and a rumor of a major Tomorrowland ride possibly being removed. We also take a ride through the Kilimanjaro Safari. Stay tuned.
Broadcasting from the Dreamport. One Little Spark Podcast.
Hey, I'm Rich.
And I'm Courtney. And thank you for all the social media interaction. It's nice to get good feedback on all of our history episodes, especially the Epcot ones. It was nice to get some good feedback on those. So, Rich, how's your week been?
Not too bad, not too bad. I know we started out with some bad weather early on with tornado warnings on the East Coast, but it smoothed out throughout the week. How about you? How was your week?
Yeah, my week was great. My mom and I just got back from our vacation. We spent 4 days on property. We started out with the Star Wars Intergalactic Dessert Party, which I'll talk about probably in a later episode. And then we did the Epcot Undiscovered Tour, which was awesome. And just kind of did a lazy day at Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, but it was a lot of fun.
How were the crowds?
They were minimal. Actually, the weather was perfect, and it being January, it wasn't too bad, so it was nice.
That's awesome. I'm glad you had a great time.
Let's get to the news.
And now,
the latest news.
Mickey Mouse to Animal Kingdom. Mickey Mouse to Animal Kingdom. Come in, Animal Kingdom.
This is Animal Kingdom Control. We read you loud and clear. Please proceed with broadcast.
Hiya, pals. Mickey Mouse here. Just wanted to give you an update on our position. If my calculations are correct, me and the gang ought to be at the Animal Kingdom real soon. So get ready for a wild adventure.
This week in the news. Now, we previously reported that the Paint the Night Parade was rumored for a debut at the Magic Kingdom with rumors of costumes being ordered for cast members. But we heard nothing else of this rumor until recently. We are hearing word that Disney has big plans for this summer, and with everything going on over at Animal Kingdom, it's a possibility that they could be wanting to offset the crowds and bring them back to Magic Kingdom with a possible debut of the Paint the Night Parade. So we shall see.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, seeing as when Rivers of Light finally does open, along with Pandora, a long-waited thing to open at Animal Kingdom, everybody's going to flock to that park, and that park isn't very big. It has a small capacity. So I think it's good that Magic Kingdom kind of gives something else new for the summer. That way it spreads the crowds out.
Right, something new, but also to get the nighttime crowds back over to Magic Kingdom. And also, I think it's just time for Magic Kingdom to finally get a nighttime parade again.
Yeah, I really miss the Electric Light Parade. I see that they debuted over at Disneyland, and I was a little sad. And even while we were in the park, I saw somebody have a Main Street Electric Light Parade jacket, and I was like, aw. Like, I really do miss the Electric Light Parade, and I'd be really happy to see Paint the Night.
I know we have a fondness for Main Street Electrical Parade, but I'm ready for something new as well. And I know people that are seeing the Main Street Electrical Parade back at Disneyland are kind of like, that's a neat pre-show to the Paint the Night Parade. Now, where's our Paint the Night? So it's kind of time to move on for both parks, but especially Magic Kingdom with us not even having anything.
So next in the news, to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Disney Store, Disney will be releasing new pins weekly on Saturdays in the store and online the following day. At the moment, it appears that they'll be releasing 3 pins per week, and some pins include Roger Rabbit, Ariel, Genie, Beast, Simba, Wreck-It Ralph, Baymax, and best of all, my personal favorite, Baby Groot.
Now, ever since I noticed people started wearing pins and pins all over the park, I kind of thought it was more or less convoluted with the hundreds and hundreds of pins I see. But then again, I see some that I really like, and I'm like, you know what? I did the pin collection scavenger hunt in Magic Kingdom a couple months ago, and that was really fun. And I think it'd be kind of cool to collect a very slim amount of them, like basically only a handful of ones I really want to get, because they do get pricey, especially with the rare ones. But I was taking a look at these, like Courtney was mentioning. There's actually a ton more, but with these, that was just a handful of them that we listed off just now. But a lot of them actually look really cool, and they're not exact versions from the movie, but they're kind of like a cartoony baby version of it, from what I noticed. Have you seen these?
Well, the pins, when they had them displayed on the website, they had each year, like their movie was released, is how they're coming out. Like like for example, the in 1991, Beauty and the Beast came out, so that set of pins is coming out first, and then so on. So like, whereas I think I saw Baby Groot, like I mentioned, was my favorite. He was the last set of pins that was going to be set to come out, and that's because it's coming out this year in 2017.
That makes sense. I think it's really neat. I'm not a huge pin collector. I've only recently just started. I got a collection of the Epcot Classic Pavilion ones, and they're really neat and kind of rare, not too rare, but they're really cool because I have a fondness for the original Epcot that we had, and I have a few other ones that I recently purchased, but I'm going to be putting together my collection here soon, and I'm interested in getting some of these. Next up, over at Hollywood Studios, new safety videos have been added prior to riding Rock and Roller Coaster. Talk about delayed reaction on Disney's part, as this attraction's, nearly 20 years old. They added videos for Toy Story Midway Mania and Space Mountain as well last year, and I mean, sometimes I wonder basically what situation constitutes these types of changes, but everything we're reading online points to hopeful shorter waiter times by this edition.
I mean, I don't really know about shorter waiter times just because of the video. That doesn't really make sense to me. I feel like it's kind of self-explanatory. You put your stuff at your feet and pull the thing down, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, but you think that, and then you have tons of foreigners that don't really know what they're doing, and they get to the car, and I think I watched the one for just the Rock and Roller Coaster one, and I did notice the Space Mountain one, I think a couple days ago when we were in Magic Kingdom, and it's self-explanatory. It doesn't have any audio unless I think there was maybe really low or just music, but it just does kind of show you what to do beforehand, straightforward. As far as shorter wait times, I think that I don't really know how much it'll basically lower the wait times because people don't really pay attention to those things. They're down looking at their phone, and I think these are up high, up towards the ceiling, really, more or less.
I know, like, when you mentioned that you don't really know what constitutes and makes them do these changes, I do remember, as far as Rock and Roller Coaster goes, I've been on the ride at least 3 times I can remember off the top of my head where they've had to stop the ride before taking off because people pull out their phones right before to record the takeoff. But next is big news for Star Wars fans this week. An official title has been given for the next film, and it's Star Wars The Last Jedi. The film release date is set for December 15th, 2017.
Now, like we said a couple shows ago in the Hollywood Studios episode, I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan, not the hugest, but I will definitely be going to see this movie. I saw every movie so far, and with the newer ones, I've seen them basically right after they came out. I know I'm really excited for this episode, episode 8.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Rogue One, so I need to get on that. And then I'm excited to see episode 8 too. I think it'll be really good. I know that Carrie Fisher did get to finish recording her scenes before she passed, which is really cool.
That is, and I'm a fan of not using CGI, and I know recently they mentioned that they're not going to be using another version of a CGI of her from here on out, which I guess it's kind of, you're on the fence about whether it's good or not, because we like her character, but you also want to respect her person, the actual actress. So, anyway, we talked about the Figment scavenger hunt a few shows back, and this is apparently wildly popular. I know I've seen a lot of people online collecting the little magnets, but we had a great time looking around for these, for the artwork featuring Figment around the World Showcase at Epcot. And if you like some of these artwork pictures that they have of Figment, you can now head to the kiosk at the Art of Disney store near Spaceship Earth at Epcot and purchase prints of the portraits. These portraits begin at $25 and go upwards of several hundreds of dollars depending on the options and the framing.
I think that's really nice. Figment is definitely getting some major, much-needed love, and I'm really happy to see that they're really showcasing him in a good way, and selling his art is really cool.
I think it's really exciting knowing that, again, like you said, and we said in the episode before where we were mentioning about the art festival, that Figment's getting tons of love, and that actually makes me really happy. It's showing me hope that maybe Figment's not going anywhere, and hopefully not just sticking around for these festivals, and that's it.
Last up is more of a rumor than it is news, but with the Tomorrowland Speedway closing at Disneyland Hong Kong and Tokyo, as well as changes in Disneyland Paris, rumors are flying around for our version here at Disney World to be cleared to make room for some other attractions to be more aligned with the futuristic theme of Tomorrowland. So what do you think about what's going on with that?
I saw some rumors whenever I was reading about the Wreck-It Ralph redo of Stitch and redoing that whole area, and I've been on the Tomorrowland Speedway plenty of times, and usually not by choice, but because other people wanted to go on, and I really dislike these. If you want to ride go-karts, there's plenty of go-kart places around for the most part, especially around Central Florida, and these aren't just normal go-karts. It's almost like they're go-karts that are super slow with horrible speed steering, and I understand you want your little kids to drive it. I know toddlers can practically steer these things and drive them, but There can be plenty of other things that especially align with Tomorrowland's theming that could go really well in that area. I know I read a few things like a Tron-related attraction and stuff like that. So what do you think would go well in that area?
I was about to say the same thing with Tron. You could do like some sort of bike, something where you hop on one of their bikes and kind of ride it around, which would be fun, rather than it being on the track. Whereas for those of you who don't know what the Tomorrowland Speedway is, it is a gas car that a kid can get in and press the gas and go, but it straddles a track. So you only can turn the wheel so much, and then the wheel jerks back the other way and it throws your car the opposite way. And it kind of bangs you up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of it, like I said, and it's also old technology. I mean, you're trying to be in the future, or at least futuristic, but you have go-karts, which are from the 20s or something like that, or at least a long time ago, and I don't know, I think it's time to move on. And even though a Tron coaster like we have overseas would ruin some sightlines from Fantasyland, there's plenty of other things, like maybe a couple dark rides or maybe a thrill ride type like Dinosaur or something along those lines that would be well in Tomorrowland. So what do you guys think? Let us know on social media. If that did happen to actually happen, let us know what you guys think. Now let's get to the weather.
Your 7-day forecast.
Keeping you informed.
This week in the parks, you can expect low crowd volumes and beautiful weather, so if you're able to get to Disney, do it. Some attraction closures for the week. Over at Magic Kingdom, the Walt Disney World Railroad is still closed for refurbishment. According to my sources, the current area that is better used for stroller parking, known as Stitch's Great Escape, also remains closed early in the week, but possibly, and oddly enough, opens later in the week. So if you've done literally everything in Magic Kingdom and would like to ruin your day by seeing Disney's Imagineering at its worst, check this attraction out if you're the single fan that actually likes Stitch. And lastly, the Hall of Presidents is also closed for an update to include our new president. Over at Animal Kingdom, Cali River Rapids remains closed until spring. And now moving on to weather. After a small cold front this past weekend, this week will absolutely be beautiful in the park. So you're looking at pretty cold weather and a sunny day with a low of 39 on Monday and a high of 63 by afternoon with winds around 13 miles an hour, so stay warm. Temperatures will slightly warm up the rest of the week with a 57 low and a 76 high by Friday, but the winds will only slightly be breezy at 4 miles an hour. The weekend will still be chilly in the morning and then later at night, and warm out in the sun throughout Saturday and Sunday. You also shouldn't see rain at all this week in the parks, which is great. January started warm, but we're finally entering the colder weather, which is my favorite time of year to be at Disney. This has been your 7-day forecast.
It's time for this week's Hidden Mickey.
During the Kilimanjaro Safari, guests at one point passed by a small island covered with beautiful flamingos. Those who look closely through the birds will notice that the island is actually shaped like a hidden Mickey.
I am now a useless fact.
Animal Kingdom is home to over 1,000 animals. In order to feed these animals each day, 4 tons of food is required. This is enough food to feed one single human for 4.5 years straight.
This week in Disney history. In 1922, a 20-year-old Walt Disney begins work at his cartoon company called Laugh-O-Gram Films. In 1938, Disney's first feature film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, premieres in theaters. In 1941, Disney's third film, Fantasia, premieres in the theaters. In 1959, the film that also inspired the design of the castle in Disneyland, Sleeping Beauty, premieres in theaters. In 1986, Steve Jobs buys George Lucas's company ILM, a motion picture visual effects company, for $10 million and incorporates it as Pixar. In 1988, Walt Disney World's Epcot debuts its nighttime fireworks show Illuminations. In 1994, Epcot's Communicore East and West closed to make way for Innoventions. Also in 1994, the U.S. Department of Defense leases the Disney Inn Hotel at Walt Disney World and renames it Shades of Green.
First came the Magic Kingdom, then Epcot, then Disney MGM Studios, and now... Introducing the most adventurous Walt Disney World theme park ever. Disney's Animal Kingdom, the imagination of Disney, gone wild.
Today, Courtney and I are at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom opened up on April 22nd, 1998, which was Earth Day. This park was the 4th gate or park to open at Walt Disney World Resort. Disney Imagineers spent 10 years designing the park and spent more than $800 million building the park. That's about twice as much money as it cost to open the entire Walt Disney World Resort back in 1971. And the park size is 5 times the size of Magic Kingdom itself. To convince Disney executives that the experience of sharing the same space with animals was enough to entertain guests at Animal Kingdom, Imagineers brought a 400-pound Bengal tiger into a meeting and had him walk around the conference table. The experience was enough to convince the executives and then Michael Eisner himself to build the park. The park was dedicated and themed entirely around a natural environment and animal conservation, a philosophy once pioneered by Walt himself. Michael Eisner dedicated the park by saying this: "Welcome to a kingdom of animals, real, ancient, and imagined. A kingdom ruled by lions, dinosaurs, and dragons. A kingdom of balance, harmony, and survival. A kingdom we enter to share in a wonder, gaze, and beauty, thrill at the drama, and learn." To landscape the animal kingdom, more than 400 million trees, plants, shrubs, ground covers, vines, and grasses were planted, with more than 4,000 different types of species. And there's plenty of water too. There's 27 million gallons of water in Animal Kingdom's Discovery River, which is enough to fill about 1,800 average-sized backyard swimming pools.
Yeah, Animal Kingdom is actually pretty massive. Honestly, the park itself, like where tourists kind of walk around to go to each attraction, the property that the animals wander is massive. They really do a good job of giving the animals, let them feel like they're actually at home. Most people think that Magic Kingdom is the biggest park because Magic Kingdom has the most attractions, but in all reality, Animal Kingdom is much, much bigger than people think.
Yeah, I think basically Animal Kingdom is bigger than any other park and pales in comparison as far as the total land and area that it covers.
So before entering the gates of Disney's Animal Kingdom, you will see a large building with a waterfall cascading over the side. Inside, you'll find the Rainforest Cafe. Here you'll encounter a feast of sights, sounds, and smells. You can be a part of a tropical thunderstorm and observe audio animatronic wildlife. A 3,500-gallon aquarium displays brightly colored tropical fish. In addition to the entertaining sounds, guests can satisfy their hunger with delicious pasta, chicken, meat, and seafood dishes. The full-service Rainforest Cafe is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Have you ever eaten here?
I've eaten there, I think, 2 or 3 times, and I think that it's a pretty cool experience to have while eating at a restaurant. I mean, you're not normally surrounded by total wildlife, even though it's all fake. Besides the fish, I believe. It's still pretty cool to be in there, and every so often they have animatronics go off, and I think I've had breakfast and dinner there. And weren't you there one of the times?
Yeah, I know we all went to dinner there one time, but I've never done their breakfast. I do frequent there for lunch and dinner because they also have the same restaurant in Disney Springs. And the gift shop as well is really good themed, and it also has animatronics going on at the top of the gift shop. They have a cheetah that roars every now and again. There's a tree that's supposed to be like, I think, the willow from Pocahontas that talks every now and again, and it's really, really perfectly themed. And the food, I don't want to say it's expensive because it's not. It's probably like your regular steakhouse prices, but the food is phenomenal.
I agree. I think it's great. I've had the breakfast there, which is also pretty good, and you can have a nice breakfast right before you enter the park. So
Animal Kingdom is broke up into multiple parts. These parts include the Oasis, Discovery Island, Africa, Rafiki's Planet Watch, Asia, and Dinoland USA. And then coming this summer, the new Avatar section will open to guests as well. Each land has its own special theming and attractions. When you enter the park, the first section you come into is the lush tropical landscape called the Oasis. When you continue into the Oasis area, this area features a canopy of tropical plants and trees and a small waterfall and a pond with flamingos. There are also exhibits with viewing areas where you can see a giant anteater, two-toed sloths, wallabies, tree kangaroos, some exotic birds, African spoonbills, some macaws, northern pintails, and some wallabies. Passing these habitats are paths that lead into the park.
I think it's a nice way to start your discovery of all the animals and everything you're walking through, and it's really nice. I think that it's cool to see them right off the bat. You enter the gates and instantly you see some animals, and they also have that character that's kind of like one of those still life performers. What's her name again?
Divine, I think it is. It's kind of like a stilt walker who blends in with the trees, and it's kind of funny to watch people walk by her, and she kind of startles them out of nowhere and kind of walks towards you. But I think this area is a perfect place to kind of give you a preview of what's inside Animal Kingdom. They have the nice animals, they have the water waterfalls running. And then today when we were walking into Animal Kingdom, something I didn't know is they actually have some meet and greets out front. We saw Rafiki and Chip and Dale.
Right, I saw them too, and I think it's something along the lines of what they would do basically in the morning at any of the parks. Well, maybe not Magic Kingdom, but I know when we were at Epcot last week recording, they had jammers.
Yeah.
But they're awesome, but it's kind of cool, like, so to alleviate some of the traffic over at the entry with the gates, they have some character meet and greets, so it kind of slims up the crowd and everything.
Yeah, something we missed today because we were just kind of running a little bit behind is they do a rope drop kind of like every other park does, but their rope drop is they have sent a bunch of colorful birds out, and it's really pretty from what I've seen online. I haven't actually physically got to do it. Hopefully next time we come we'll get to see it, but it looks really nice.
Continuing inside the park, along the path, you'll finally arrive at the Discovery Island section of the park and see the majestic 145-foot tall and 50-foot wide Tree of Life, the park's icon. Now, basically, when we were talking about the Oasis area, this kind of blocks your point of view of seeing the Tree of Life. So it's kind of like once you come around the Oasis, you turn the corner and you finally see it, just how you finally see the castle going around Main Street. This tree took 3 years to construct and took an international team of artisans to carve nearly 400 animals into the tree itself. The tree has 45 branches that lead to 757 tertiary branches and 7,891 end branches. The entire tree is covered with 102,583 man-made leaves, which is insane, each more than 1 foot in length. And if the tree itself wasn't impressive enough, there's a 3D attraction called It's Tough to Be a Bug, based off the Pixar film A Bug's Life. This tree is surrounded by different animal enclosures, including black-crowned cranes, brown lemurs, crested porcupines, tortoises, vultures, flamingos, macaws, otters, red kangaroos, saddle-billed storks, and the white storks. At night, projected onto the tree is something new that basically started last year. Have you actually seen this new show that they do? It's kind of like every 15 minutes, I think they show one of 3 shows that brings the tree to life.
Yeah, my mom and I came here to do the Jungle Book show back when they had the Jungle Book on the water, when they were kind of using filler for the Rivers of Light. So during then, we came here and then we got to see the tree show. And if you stand there for about a total of probably 30 minutes, you'll get to see each show. They do a really good job of, while the projection show isn't going on in between, they have different colored lights that are still on the tree that make their animals look like they're moving, and it really brings it to life. And it makes me really happy to see Animal Kingdom get some nighttime love.
And it really looks beautiful at night with all the different colors coming out of the center of the tree, almost like the tree itself is alive with all sorts of colors and animals moving all around with light. The area surrounding the Tree of Life was originally known as Safari Village, but was later changed to Discovery Island following the closure of the actual abandoned island in Bay Lake called Discovery Island that was open to guests from 1974 to 1999. In this area of the park, you can also meet Flick, Mickey, Minnie, Pocahontas, and Russell and Doug, as well as Tarzan. So what do you think about the Tree of Life and also the Bugs Life 3D show?
I like the attraction. It's not terrible. It could use an update. It could be a little bit better. I wouldn't recommend this show for tiny kids. It is kind of scary. It's kind of dark. You have the spiders that come down. It could scare little kids. And Hopper, the grasshopper, is kind of scary. But it's overall not terrible.
The last time I was actually in there was a family of little kids that actually cried so loud it kind of ruined the experience. Now, I have a young daughter, and I think I'd be okay bringing her in there, but for the most part, she's right. There's little things that are kind of like little gags that would startle little kids overall. But I remember actually riding this or seeing this attraction in the opening week of the park, and it was insane. The lines were so long, and even though it was in April, it was sweltering hot outside. That's something I do remember so clearly, is the insane crowds and the sweltering heat.
Continuing past Discovery Island to the left, we come to the African section of Animal Kingdom, set in the fictional East African village of Harambe. This area is arguably one of Animal Kingdom's most popular attraction, the Kilimanjaro Safari, which at the end of the show, you'll get to hear, we did a little ride through of it. In this attraction, you climb aboard an open safari vehicle where you will travel around a 100-acre savanna, and you get to see over 34 species of roaming animals and birds. The best time to catch the animals is in the morning. So if you get into the park, I would head there first thing because this is during their feeding time, and even in the late afternoon is their additional feeding time. See, what the Imagineers or the animal handlers do is when they feed the animals, they put all their food towards the trail. That way the animals come to there to eat and people can see the animals. A new change to the park in the past year is a new nighttime experience and preparation for the upcoming Pandora expansion. With this nighttime addition, you can ride the safari at night. The safari is completed with a simulated sunset and a moonlight to experience the ride in an entirely new way. Have you done this version yet?
I have, and actually it is a completely different experience because basically the lighting itself brings out a whole new view of the whole area. They did an amazing job making this look just like real. Basically what they have off to the left while you're turning one of the corners is a massive, like, it seems like 100-foot long or 100-yard long LED screen that looks like a sunset, and it's coming through the trees, so you don't necessarily see it as clear unless you really look at it. And then as you're going on about 2/3 the way in, they have some light that looks like moonlight. But what's different about this experience is the animals are kind of, they're in a different area, not necessarily a different area of where they're normally at, but they're usually a little bit more active, it seems like, at least from when I went through it. Have you done this experience at night?
I have not done it at night yet. I know when we originally planned coming here today, we were going to come here later on in the evening, but we decided to come in the morning, which is fine, but hopefully next time I come here, I'll be able to do the nighttime version.
Yeah, you'll love it. I guarantee you'll love it. So when you exit the safari area, you can enter a self-paced walking trail under a lush tropical canopy called the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. This 5-acre habitat offers a look at some of Africa's most interesting inhabitants. Along the trail, you'll enter a field hut that contains displays of nests, bones, African wildlife facts, and a very intriguing colony of naked mole rats. As you exit the hut, you enter an aviary of African birds. Continuing along the trail, you'll encounter an African grasslands exhibit where you can observe the grazers like tiny antelopes, gazelles, and meerkats, which I think are awesome. They're,
Simones.
Yeah, I think that's why they're so popular amongst the little kids around that area. There's also an underwater hippo viewing area that offers a perfect view. And once you're back outside, a family of silverbacks are visible through the glass viewing area. At each exhibit, there are experts to answer questions and supply information about the animals. So how many times have you been through this? I know I love doing it almost every time I go through the safari.
Yeah, every time I get off the safari, it's a perfect thing to do because it's kind of a circle. It loops you right back to the exit. So instead of just rushing off and going straight when you exit the safari, kind of take a right and go right through there, and you get to see a lot of cool animals through there. So another attraction in Africa is the Broadway-like stage show, The Festival of the Lion King, which is the most popular live show at the park and is loosely based off Disney's 1994 film, The Lion King, and stars characters such as Simba, Pumbaa, and Timon, complete with singing, fire-twirling, acrobats. This show is a must-see. We actually just left this show, and it's one of my favorites. Every time that I watch it, I get chills. Just the talent in that show is phenomenal.
The first thing I thought once the show was ending was just how amazing it is, the insane amount of talent that goes into these, even just writing them and choreographing everything. But just I took a moment to look at the performers' faces specifically, and you could see that even though they're performing, they're smiling so big. But I mean, think about it. These performers probably started out in like high school drama class and dance stuff like that, and then imagine their dream of working for Disney and working in a show so amazing like that show. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's like one of those must-sees at the park. So if you're going to skip anything, don't skip this.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other things to skip, like Cali River Rapids, because you get soaked. But this is a definitely make time to see it. Get a fast pass for it. Whatever you have to do to see it. It's amazing. You won't regret it.
From the Africa section of the park, you can board a Wildlife Express train to head to the Research and Education Center called Rafiki's Planet Watch. At the Rafiki's Planet Watch, you can find a viewing area where exams and surgical procedures may be observed. In addition to the veterinary facilities, experts are on hand to educate you on the caring for and meal preparation for many animals found in the park. There is also information on the conservation efforts of organizations throughout the world, including a computer that will tell you where the one nearest your hometown is. And we'll get to the conservation fund here at the end, but there are many interactive displays with environmental information and tips on preserving our nature's resources, including sound booths featuring the sounds of the rainforest, touchscreens allowing you to check out the animal cams throughout the park, and you can also meet Rafiki from The Lion King in his meet and greet location. The affection section is like a usual petting zoo variety of animals, but unlike typical petting zoos, you'll discover that they are exotic breeds of sheep, goats, deer, pigs, and so on. At the Out of the Wild shop, you'll find conservation-themed clothing, snacks, environmentally friendly toiletries, books, stuffed animals, and the proceeds go to the conservation fund, I believe.
Yeah, anytime you donate here too, they give you a cool little button. You can donate, whether you donate $1, $5, or whatever, they give you a button.
And I got one earlier, which is cool. Other characters you can meet in the area are Chip and Dale, and Daisy can also be found not in this area specifically, but over in the Tuskar House restaurant, kind of near the Lion King show. So I don't go here as often as I want to, just because it's kind of inconvenient to a point where you have to wait for the train. It's not as easily as accessible, but there is a nice petting zoo and a ton of information if you're interested in learning, especially about the conservation fund.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the train, they're only 7 minutes in between trains, kind of like they are at Magic Kingdom.
Okay, fine. I can't wait 7 minutes.
But I really enjoy it. The train kind of takes you backstage and shows you where they call in and out all the animals at night, and as you're riding through the train, they tell you how they get the animals to come in and out of their homes at night. And then during Christmas and different holidays, Chip and Dale dress up like those different characters to fit their holiday. And actually during Earth Day only now, Jiminy Cricket is there. He used to be there all the time. He would alternate with Chip and Dale. Chip and Dale would be out for like an hour, then Jiminy Cricket, and so on. And funny story, I'm sure when my mom listens to this, she'll laugh and say, okay. But we were going to go see Jiminy Cricket, and the line was just really long. And she said, no, this next time, we'll get it next time. So we waited, and as soon as I got home, I read an article that said Jiminy Cricket will no longer be there. He only comes out during Earth Day.
How convenient.
So the next area we will explore is Asia. Imagineers did an amazing job to really put you in the environment by including lush vegetation, crumbling ruins, and mysterious temples, which were borrowed from countries such as Nepal, Mongolia, Indonesia, Cambodia, Thailand, and India, to form the cultural melting pot that is the mythical kingdom of Anandapur. Disney used many nations that were not currently specific, as opposed to the one actual country in Anandapur. It was established in 1544 as a royal hunting reserve. From this, a village evolved and thrived, while the reserve has found itself in a state of ruin and decay. The current royal family converted the crumbling reserve into its current state as a conservation area. Bird lovers will absolutely love the Flights of Wonder show that performs throughout the day and includes 20 species of birds, including hawks, falcons, macaws, and parrots. If you're looking for a thrilling water adventure, Kali River Rapids will definitely cool you off in a sweltering summer's hot day.
I agree that they definitely did a ton of work on this area, making it extremely detailed. There's things, we're sitting actually over here by the Flights of Wonder show in a little hut, but there's little things that you don't really notice, like just details in the ground with like imprinted footprints and animal footprints, leaves. There's also like rusted over bikes and old signs, painted walls. It really does put you in the moment. And we did check out the Flights of Wonder show though earlier this morning, right after we went on the safari, which that was, I think, the first time I've even seen that show.
Yeah, I see it when I come here every now and then. To me, it's kind of funny. You have kind of some jokes here and there in it, and the bird comes out and takes $1 out of a lady's hand, which is kind of funny. And I like it. It's a really good show for kids and stuff too.
For some good pictures, sit in the middle of the theater. We sat directly in the center, and birds flew right over our heads. It was pretty cool for some good pictures. And also, Kali River Rapids, I've only done this twice ever, and both times you get completely drenched. If you're familiar with the Universal Islands of Adventure ride Popeye's, barge or whatever it's called, it's the exact same ride system for the most part. You get completely drenched. It's nice on a hot day, but I usually avoid it because I don't like walking with wet shoes and socks, and I don't think they let you ride it without any shoes.
Also along the pathways, and I'm probably going to botch this name, so if you guys know the actual pronouncing, leave it in the comments, but the Maharaja Jungle Trek, you'll see some of Asia's most exotic creatures, including tigers, bats, a Komodo dragon, deer, and flying foxes. At Mandala Gifts, you'll find such Asian treasures as stuffed tigers, strings of bells, jewelry, masks, and tiger apparel. The storyline goes that this was a home for a popular Shapara family at the base camp of Everest climbers, so the walls are covered with travelers' mementos. Speaking of Everest, Expedition Everest is a roller coaster themed around the legend of the Yeti. This high-speed train adventure combines coaster-like thrills with excitement of a close encounter with an abominable snowman. Some characters you can meet in the Asia section of the park is Baloo and King Louie.
I haven't actually checked out this Jungle Trek, so maybe we can check it out before we head out of the park. That'll be cool. And Expedition Everest, okay. I absolutely love this roller coaster. It's one of my favorite all-time roller coasters to even ride. And it's kind of a bummer that it's here because I don't come here as often as I want to ride Everest, but it's an amazing ride, and there's tons of videos on the making of it online. Now, what do you think about the Yeti?
The Yeti over the time has definitely needed some work. I know when the ride first opened, the Yeti would kind of reach down like he was grabbing you, and then it was broken. I think it only worked for, the first 2 weeks the whole park was open or something like that?
I'm not familiar on how long it worked, but basically in this video of the creating the park, it's basically they were touting the creation of it and how it moves, and it's highly top secret, and then it broke. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I know it only worked for a short amount of time, but I think also what I heard is because the technology was so great and so vast that it just didn't work out too well.
Well, if you guys aren't familiar with what we're even talking about, basically in the ride itself there's a massive Yeti, like 20 feet tall?
Yeah, he's massive. So it didn't work, and then, like I said, for a long period of time, it quit working, and then now, today, it kind of works, but I think it just might be some lighting. What do you think? You think it's working, or is it just a lighting effect now?
I think everything that I've seen is basically they just put a strobe light on and it doesn't physically move. And from what I've been reading online, it's basically impossible for them to go in and fix it or replace it because of the structural integrity of the actual building housing the roller coaster itself.
Yeah, I know last week they actually had the Yeti covered up. They were doing maintenance on him, and I was glad today to see that he was uncovered.
Right, so if you're in the park, check out this roller coaster. You won't be disappointed. Moving clockwise past the Asia section, you'll come to the Theater of the Wild, which houses the Finding Nemo, the musical Broadway-like stage show. Puppets, acrobats, and dancers performing against an animated backdrop brings an abbreviated version of Finding Nemo to life. The characters are puppets and are voiced by the actors controlling them. So this show is also one of those must-sees at least once. I really like it, and it's kind of more along the lines of the Broadway version of the show, not the actual movie, because of just some of the songs and the way that they sing instead of actually just talking most of the show.
Yeah, as a Finding Nemo lover, I love this show. I think it's really cute. The actors are really good, and it's another must-see show.
It's really great, so check it out if you're in the area. I think it's usually packed in there, so either get a fast pass or try to get there a little bit early. Past the Theater of the Wild, you reach a dinosaur-themed area such as a dig site for exploration, a midway-type area with carnival games, snack stands with carnival foods like nachos and cotton candy. This area also has a small roller coaster for taller riders called Primeval Whirl, which I dislike.
Yeah, I can't stand it. It's like if you took the teacups and put it on a roller coaster, but it hurts.
Yeah, if you want to be hurt, then go on this ride. I know they did some work on it last year, and everyone thought that they were trying to reduce some of this action of whiplash, but it really didn't do anything.
I'll admit, I think it did take a little bit less of the hurt out, but it does still hurt.
I rode it, I think, twice ever, and the second time I rode it, it was just so painful I told myself I won't ride it again just because of that experience. But the other ride in this area is called Triceratops Spin, which is basically like your Dumbo or your Flying Carpets at Magic Kingdom. Past this, a little bit further along, is a ride called Dinosaur, which used to be called Countdown to Extinction. You enter this attraction in a museum like Dino Institute. As you enter the institute, you'll pass informative fossil exhibits before entering a large room with a life-size cast of a real dinosaur skeleton, and also some smaller ones. The centerpiece of the room is an enormous Carnosaurus skeleton. Bill Nye the Science Guy sets the stage for your adventure as he narrates the theory of how the dinosaurs were obliterated 65 million years ago by fiery meteor showers that hit the Earth. Continuing on toward the ride itself, you enter a time machine rover vehicle. Before you're sent back in time, you're asked to bring back the last iguanodon and are sent to a time before deadly meteor showers crash to the Earth. This moving simulator ride bounces, bumps, and careens its way through a primeval forest where you'll encounter a number of dinosaurs and special effects designed to stimulate all of your senses. So I remember riding this basically on opening week when it was Countdown to Extinction back when the park opened in 1998, and I still like it. We rode it today, and it had some updated lighting effects and other projections, stuff like that. What do you think about the ride overall?
I like it. I actually forgot that it was called Countdown to Extinction until you mentioned it. Now it's based off the movie Dinosaur. That's an older movie. Let's see. I can't remember exactly what date that movie came out.
I think it was the early 2000s, like 2002 or 4 or something like that.
I know I was 13 because I got my tonsils out when I was 13, and when I woke up from the anesthesia, that's the movie that was on my TV was Dinosaur.
You probably wish you went back because of how bad the movie sucked.
No, actually, I was a kid. I loved it. I haven't seen it recently, but as a kid, I loved it. I mean, I watched it all the time. But it's a good ride overall. I know when the refurb came out, I was kind of like, I watched a video on it and I couldn't really tell anything different. But actually riding it myself, there's some different projections. The lighting has definitely changed, which I know I was talking to you after we got off the ride, that the only thing I don't like about it being a little bit brighter in there is you can actually see where the dinosaurs aren't complete. Meaning, like, for example, when you're exiting the ride, like the very end of the ride, the big carnivorous dinosaur comes at you, and if you look up, you can see that it's just basically his head, and you can see the actual gears that move him forward.
I agree that they should have turned the lighting up a little, but not as much as they did. And I noticed it before you even mentioned that I noticed basically all the mechanics behind the dinosaurs. And it's the same problem we had with Little Mermaid before they dimmed it down over at Magic Kingdom. There was so much lighting in there. You see all the props and the ceiling and all the light fixtures, and it really gets you out of the mood of the environment. Even though you know it's fake, but it really distracts you from the immersion.
Yeah, so like Rich said, we do know it's all fake. It just kind of stinks that you can kind of see everything, which, I mean, I guess for me, I like it to a point because I kind of like to see how everything works and whatnot, but I wish it was just a little bit darker.
Also in this area, you can meet characters like Donald, Goofy, and Pluto.
If you look closely at the logos for Disney's Animal Kingdom, you will see a dragon silhouette among the animals. This was meant to represent the Beastly Kingdom, a planned but never built land. As we mentioned before, Animal Kingdom cost nearly $1 billion to complete, so due to cost overruns in the budget, Beastly Kingdom was never completed. The Imagineers, who were laid off when the plans were scrapped, were eventually hired by Universal Orlando and went on to build a dual coaster formerly known as Dueling Dragons, now known as Dragon Challenge for Islands of Adventure. Which is, in my opinion, that's super crazy. Like, you would think Disney would want more roller coasters and more big thrill rides in their park. And it kind of stinks that Universal ended up getting the better end of the deal.
I absolutely love the Dueling Dragons, or Dragon Challenge if you want to call it that. I'll always call it Dueling Dragons, but that growing up was one of my favorite rides. I could kind of understand it because back when I was a kid, one of my dreams was to become a ride designer, a roller coaster engineer, and stuff like that. So I used to look into how much these rides cost and the back end of everything. And basically each one of these rides is close to $20 million. So I could see how cutting that out and basically adding Camp Mini Mickey could definitely be something in favor of the budget-wise.
Animal Kingdom's overall theme was originally planned for 3 types of animals. Real animals we currently have, extinct animals including dinosaurs, and lastly mythical ones. Beastly Kingdom was to have featured mythical animals such as unicorns, dragons, and sea monsters. The land would feature realms of both good and evil creatures. The evil side would be dominated by a dragon tower, a ruined castle home to a greedy fire-breathing dragon who hoarded a fabulous treasure in the tower chamber. The castle would also be inhabited by bats who planned to rob the dragon of his riches. This would enlist the guests' help in their scheme and whisk them off to a thrilling roller coaster ride through the castle ruins. The climax of the ride would be an encounter with Evil Dragon himself, resulting in a nearly barbecued train of guests.
This sounds so amazing. I think actually, I mean, basically think Islands of Adventure, but put over here in the area that Pandora is going. I mean, what do you think about that? I think that would have been awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I've actually never really heard, like, I knew of the Beastly Kingdom theory, but I never even heard of this ride that was coming there, and that's a shame that Disney didn't get to make that dream a reality due to budget cuts.
Yeah, the famed budget cuts. What I think that they could have done without are certain things around here, like Dino Land USA, except for Dinosaur, or maybe just put Dinosaur in a couple exhibits, but built the other stuff, or I don't know. I mean, we are getting Pandora out of it, but I kind of think that Beastly Kingdom would have outdone Pandora.
Yeah, and I think it also is cool that you have two different sides, like evil and good, because I know Disney's already rumored or talking about their fifth gate would be like the villain's kingdom. So it feels like Disney is trying or has these ideas to have evil and good, which is cool. So the next side, like I said, you have evil first, and the good side of this land would be home to the Quest of the Unicorn, an adventure which sent guests through a maze of medieval mythological creatures to seek the hidden grotto where the unicorn lived. Finally, the Fantasia Gardens attraction would be a musical boat ride through animal scenes from Disney's animated classic, Fantasia. The ride would feature both the crocodiles and hippos from Dance of the Hours, and the Pegasus, fawns, and centaurs from Beethoven's Pastoral.
This would have been amazing as well. I love Fantasia, even though it's... Some people don't like it. They say it's boring and everything, but think of the creativity and the imagination that would have went into this attraction.
Now, do you like Fantasia or Fantasia 2000?
I've seen both, and I like both. I think if they had the right budget, how amazing this attraction would have been.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome. Actually, when my mom and I went on our vacation, we went and played the Fantasia mini golf, and it kind of had the same theme where you hit the ball and it went past different things and made different musical noises. I love Fantasia, and I was really excited to do it, and it's a lot of fun.
Maybe that's where they just said, we need Fantasia, let's make it mini golf.
It's actually behind the Swan and Dolphin Hotel. It's kind of random.
This could be an idea for something like Hollywood Studios coming up later whenever they do the rebuild of it. At a D23 Expo back in 2013, Disney released concept art and information for an upcoming land based off the hugely popular blockbuster film by James Cameron, Avatar. The Avatar-inspired land called Pandora, the world of Avatar, will include the landscape of Pandora. It'll feature, quote, awe-inspiring floating mountains, a nighttime jungle of bioluminescent plants, as well as an amazing new attraction called Avatar Flight of Passage. This new attraction will take guests on a Banshee flight above the alien world. The other attraction planned for the area is the Navi River Journey, which is a family-friendly boat adventure through the bioluminescent forests of Pandora. There's also going to be a restaurant called the Satuli Canteen. So we've seen most of the structures. They look complete coming into the park today. I know all of last year there was tons of cranes. I think like 10 cranes it seemed like, all outside. But what do you think about the upcoming area?
To Avatar, coming to you in year 2095. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually Avatar will be here before we know it, and I'm really excited to see all the progress and that it's almost done. And they finally revealed, like we mentioned last week in the news, they revealed the entrance to Avatar to Pandora, and it's really nice to see. And actually, I think with this land coming out right before Avatar 2 comes out, it'll probably be a good prerequisite before the movie.
I hope it lives up to the hype. I mean, it's been like 5 years since we've heard about this, and every year it seems like not much progress is going on, but I think it'll be awesome, especially just walking around, not even talking about the attraction, just walking around the new technologies that they've developed in this land. In addition to this new land and new attractions, Imagineers are close to completing Disney's Animal Kingdom's first ever nighttime show for the park called Rivers of Light, which will be debuting here in a few short months. The show will include live music, floating lanterns, which I think are the drones.
Yeah, I think this is the same technology that they use in Disney Springs' Drone Christmas show, which would be cool, because hopefully Epcot will get it next.
This will also feature water screens, which I think we have in World of Color over on the West Coast, as well as Fantasmic here at Hollywood Studios, and also swirling animal imagery. This is a story that celebrates the beauty of all living things through the brilliant fusion of water, sound, and light. And on Disney's website, they basically describe this by saying, listen as the Discovery River responds to the whisper of the worlds, cradling creatures with a symphony that swells with wild murmurs and shimmering secrets of the universe. So begins a new light, a vibrant awakening of flitting fireflies, leading to a ceremonious procession across the water. Before your eyes, clusters of lantern light shift and shape into stunning animals, spirit forms like the tiger, the turtle, elephant, and the owl, which I think that's talking about the drone technology. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out online from Disney Springs. They have the drones take shapes of a Christmas tree and an angel. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the Christmas tree, an angel, and I think
that was it. But I mean, it's really stunning and insane technology that they come up with this stuff. I know it's all GPS and all programmed in, but I can't wait to see the technology come to life in a new show besides what we had at Disney Springs. Spellbound, you're transported across Asian jungles and tropical oceans of African savannas and North American mountains. This display culminates in a triumphant blend of song, light, and color and earthly elements. The grand finale is supposedly so divine that you can't help but feel a sense of peace and oneness with nature. That's from the Disney website. Now, at first, I was reading rumors that this show was underwhelming by the cast member preview. What have you heard so far?
Well, since the cast member preview, they've redone a bunch of stuff, which is why they pushed it out, because it was so underwhelming, and some of the cast members were kind of just like, meh. So I think because of that, they pushed it out a little bit further, which is all we keep hearing about Birds of Light is further out.
I heard that the executives were here, and all of a sudden after that, they were told to redo the music. I'm not sure if that's 100%. And then, of course, we did get it pushed out from spring out till summer, which I think is kind of a bad move in the sense that we're going to get Pandora and Rivers of Light at the same time, and talk about overcrowding the park.
Yeah, I know in the news we mentioned that Paint the Night is rumored to come back to Magic Kingdom. So with that, hopefully, or not back to Magic Kingdom, but to Magic Kingdom. So hopefully with that, it'll help spread the crowds out a little bit from here to there. Lastly, we wanted to also cover the Disney Worldwide Conservation Fund. The Disney Worldwide Conservation Fund, or DWCF, was established in 1995 on Earth Day, and to date has contributed more than $20 million towards conservation efforts worldwide. The funds help scientists and communities worldwide study animals and their habitats, working with qualified and respected nonprofit organizations on community conservation, education, science, and environmental policies. The DWCF is supported by guest contributions and various merchandise locations throughout Disney parks and resorts, as well as aboard Disney Cruise Line. Other funding comes from the press penny machines, park fountains, and Animal Kingdom merchandise and initiatives, and from special guest programs at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, The Seas with Nemo and Friends, and Castaway Cay.
What's cool about that is I know whenever we were in the line for It's a Small World a couple weeks ago, or it might have been at Epcot somewhere, we were talking about what we think they did with all the pennies and the coins. And now that I think about it, this is actually probably what they're talking about is the money from the pressed pennies, as well as all the money that people toss into the water making wishes and things like that. What do you think?
Yeah, and we were talking, I think it was Small World, we went to ride, and then you can just see all the money that's in the water, and I don't know how often they clean it out, but that's cool that they take all that money that people throw in there and give it to a good cause.
I always wondered that, like, as a kid, like, what do they actually do? You know, is it the janitors that have to scrub the bottom, whoever takes care of these rides, the ride technicians, so they just pocket all of it? But I guess no, they do good with the money and put it towards the fun.
And also, 100% of every dollar goes directly to the projects. The Walt Disney World Company additionally matches all guest contributions to the DWCF and covers all overhead costs associated with the fund. Emergency funds are also set aside annually to respond to wildlife and wild places in crisis, such as communities and animals affected by natural disasters, oil spills. In partnership with Disney's Friends for Change and iTunes, DWCF has directed more than $1 million in proceeds from anthems such as Make a Wave and We Can Change the World to provide urgent conservation support to meet many challenges the planet is facing. Together with Disney Nature, DWCF planted nearly 3 million trees and protected more than 40,000 acres with Disney Nature The Nature Conservancy protected 65,000 acres of savanna with the African Wildlife Foundation and established protected areas for chimpanzees, educated the next generation, and cared for orphan chimpanzees with the Jane Goodall Institute. Disney Worldwide Conservation Fund has worked in 112 countries. Also, fun fact, there are no cup lids or paper straws anywhere in the park because of the danger it has to animals.
So I think the Disney Wildlife Conservation is amazing. I actually didn't know too much about it until I finally did some research for this episode.
Yeah, I actually haven't heard much about it either. I take that back. I did. I did know that Disney does donate a bunch of money to help with caring for animals and whatnot, which I think is really awesome. Kind of like SeaWorld does with their stuff. Disney kind of does the same thing with all their other animals.
I think it's amazing that they cover the cost, so it's not like the money like in a nonprofit's actually going towards the actual operations. And what's great too is that they actually match the contributions. Like, so if you donate 1,000, they'll donate 1,000. So that's really sweet.
Yeah, I think what Disney is doing for these animals is amazing. I think that they definitely it helps them out in a big way.
Something else that I read whenever we were researching this episode was that there was something like 150 officers getting ready to protest all the animals' care whenever they were opening the park on opening day, and turned out there was only like 10 protesters, and then it was only there for about an hour or two, and that's it. So overall, Animal Kingdom, what do you think about this park's past, what we currently have, and then the future of the park overall?
You know, Walt was really big into nature, especially with all the movies that are produced as well. I can't think of what they actually call these movies, but they're like the China movie they have with they have the one with the whales. But
they have I think it's Disney Nature.
Disney Nature. So something that most people don't know is Walt was really big into nature, and he was big into wildlife. And I think it's really cool that moving forward, Animal Kingdom was built. I think what's here now is Animal Kingdom has a great start. Most people say this is a half-day park, and I kind of agree. It is kind of a half-day park, and most people don't like to come here because it is kind of far out, and it's, I mean, I guess right now a big zoo with like a roller coaster, but I think when Pandora comes out, it'll give this park a new life, kind of a refresh, and I think I see good things for Animal Kingdom.
I still think that along with Pandora, they can add a bunch. It's still, to me, going to still be a half-day park. It'll just be at the later half of the day. Coming here at night to check out all the new stuff. But I know that it is a good park. It's really nice to come here. It's hotter in the summer, so I usually try to avoid it most of the year, which summer in Florida is 10 months.
Which, also fun fact, speaking of hot, did you know that Animal Kingdom is the hottest park on property? Because it's shaped like a bowl, so it kind of gives the animals the climate that they need.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that a couple years back. It's really neat that they actually thought about that in designing this park back in the 90s. So with that being said, let us know what you guys think about Animal Kingdom, and let us know on social media, or email us, or check out our website.
Thank you so much for visiting us here at Kilimanjaro Safari. We are going to start our trip into the little Turi Forest. Now, as we enter the forest, there is an antelope walking up on the hill. Straight ahead of us. They'll be on the driver's side. It's a bongo. You see another one further up ahead on the hillside. Bongos are very shy forest antelopes. These are called the ghost of the forest. This is their nickname. Male and female both have horns. They slant backward. Makes it easier for them to run away from predators. They just dive in the thick brush to get away. Across the water there is an okapi. He's showing his back end, showing off the striped legs he has. And that is the only relative of a giraffe. They're like a cousin. They were not discovered till about 1901, live in the very dark, deep forest of the Congo in Africa. So watering holes that we do gather around for animals. There's a light tan brown antelope here on our left. This is greater kudu. Female greater kudu. Only the males have the horns, females do not. They're one of the tallest antelopes in Africa. They're about 5 feet tall at the shoulder. Up there on the right, oh, there's a black rhino. He's sleeping way over there on the left. He's got his chin resting on a rock, it looks like. See him over there? You know, it's kind of brown, not really black. Yeah. Now, black rhinos, they run about 35 miles an hour. And they are very endangered. There's less than 5,000 black rhinos in the entire world. Yeah, less than 5,000 in the entire world. Poachers have been hunting and killing these rhinos Hundreds and thousands have lost their horns to the poachers. The horn on a rhino is made of keratin, which is a protein makes your hair and your fingernails. So they're after a horn made of hair, actually. The hair on the rhino horn, actually, a few countries believe his horn will cure you of a disease, make you feel better. But the scientists have been discovered the rhino horn, there's no purpose for human consumption. All right, friends, let's make our way out to one of the rivers out here. It's called Safi River. We come across these rivers often and look for the hippopotamus and the crocodiles. And I do see a couple of Nile hippopotamus. They're getting a suntan, or is it a sunburn? One or the other. Oh, they will stay out too long. Now, it's kind of a cool morning for the hippos, so I can see where they're out in the sun, trying to warm up. A male hippo can chip a scale at 5,500 pounds. These animals are about 85 pounds when they are born. And there's more hippos in the water to your left. They appear like they're swimming, but they're not. No, hippopotamus are walking on the bottoms of the river, tiptoeing on the bottom. They are one of Africa's most dangerous animals. They're very territorial, very dangerous animal. A lot of pelicans here and there around this area. These are pink-backed pelican, light pink on their back during the mating season. Some of our researchers out here. They do a lot of studying of all the animals that we're going to see out here. Yeah. Little blackbird there on that tree limb. That's a white-breasted cormorant. Catches fish swimming underwater. Ooh, I see some Nile crocodiles down here, driver's side. Nile crocodiles are about 18, 20 feet in length. Jaw pressure is 2,000 pounds per square inch. Crocodiles are ectothermic animals. To cool off their bodies, they open up their mouth. They don't want to overheat. Now, as we pass through the Safi River, it is taking us over toward the savannah. Alrighty, let's see. There's a big old tree up here on the right, has no leaves on it right now. It's called the baobab tree. Trees like that can live to be 2,000 years old. They're about 75 feet tall, 60 feet in diameter. Elephants will find baobab trees and poke holes in them to get to the water on the inside. And we've made it to the savannah. Here we are. There's a large herd of Ankole cattle laying in the sun just ahead of us. Ankole cattle are also known as Watusi cattle because the Watusi tribe, they kind of help to domesticate these animals. These animals have been living in our wildlife for centuries now. And if you look at their horns, they look pretty big. They're about 4 to 5 feet in length. They are not very heavy. These are honeycomb structure horns. Honeycomb structure helps them with keeping their body cooler on the hot days. Blood will flow into the horns to cool off on the edges. You can feel a little bit cooler on the hot days. They are an ancient breed of cattle. They've been called Egyptian cattle. That pile of hay over there by that little bush, that's a wild African dog. And I see a couple more. They're in the sun over here. They'll look real fast to see them. A little hard to see the African wild dogs. Call them painted dogs too. They're very successful hunters. They're the #1 hunter in Africa because they chase and chase their prey until it drops from exhaustion. And up ahead of us, I do see the largest antelope in Africa, straight ahead of us, coming up on the driver's side. Patterson eland. These are elands that can weigh up to 2,000 pounds if they're male. Females slightly less. There's even a little baby eland over there. There's a little one. Yeah, it's right there on the hillside. The males weigh about 2,000 pounds. These animals, when frightened, can jump about 6 to 8 feet up in the air when frightened by predators. They both have the long horns. They're kind of a spiral shape there. And we've got our Ankole cattle coming up real close here. They're at the base of their horns is about 20 inches in circumference.
You see how heavy the
male and female both have the horns. Yeah.
Like a honeycomb.
Yeah, male and female Ankole cattle, both male and female have horns.
wow.
Just like the elands. There's a giraffe looking at us. We look up on top of the hilltop over here on the left. He's looking down. There's a couple of them up there. I see at least 2 or 3 on top of the hill peering down. Those are the Maasai giraffe. Maasai giraffe have the irregular, jagged patterns of spots on their body. At birth, they're about 6 feet tall when they're born. There's quite a number of giraffes on the hill. Look down. Call it a tower giraffe, so you see a whole group together, tower giraffes. That's their group name. They're called Twiga in Swahili. Directly ahead of us, I see the white-bearded wildebeest. There's some laying in the grass over here, pasture side. There's one up there kind of grazing. White-bearded wildebeest, scientists have been studying their migration patterns. They say 1.5 million migrate about 500 to 1,000 miles every year. It's a large migration. Baby wildebeest, after they're born, they're resting for about 15 minutes, and they'll be up on their legs, walking around with mom and keeping up the herd by then. You don't get a lot of rest after being born. Oh, and I do see an elephant already directly ahead of us. Look over by that. There's a watering hole coming up over here on the right-hand side. It's got a nice place to find some water. You found a lot of food, too. Now, this elephant is a solitary male. A male elephant, when he's about 13 or 15, he's a teenager. He's going to leave the herd then. There's mandrills over here on our left. Yeah, now mandrills are the largest and most colorful monkey in Africa. The color is found around their nose and their back end. Now, elephant females, they raise their babies till they're about 13 and 15 years old. They teach their baby where to find the food, the water, and how to get along with all the elephants in the herd. It looks like there are quite a number of elephants up ahead. Here's a little baby. Oh, it's right by Mama. It's an itty bitty. Right by Mom. Yeah, when they're born, they weigh 200 to 300 pounds. That's pretty big for a baby. The female elephants, their gestation period is 22 months. If you think 9 months is bad, you try being an elephant. You'll be pregnant for almost 2 years. There's that little one there. It's right by Mommy. So there's how that termite mound over there. Yeah, Mama's being very protective of that little one, that's for sure. And look at all this food, a lot of food for the animals to eat here. Yeah, lots of food to eat. Yeah. It's pretty hot in Africa. The elephants do not want to sunburn. They'll throw dirt, sand, and mud on their body. That's sunscreen protection. They don't want to sunburn. Ooh, there's a flock of flamboyants. It's flamboyants of greater flamingos. And these are the largest and lightest pink flamingo of all flamingo species. They eat lots of shrimp. Brine shrimp have beta carotene, they'll give them that pink color. Takes a while to get all pink. Now when they're resting or sleeping, they usually stand on one leg. Yep, that's what we're doing right now. There's a cheetah walking around back there, way back on the hillside. Yeah, they're really hard to see, those cheetahs, though. They're hiding up in the shade, way in the back of the hill. Cheetahs are the fastest land animal. They can sprint at about 60 miles an hour in 3 seconds. We'll only be running that for a very short duration, like several hundred yards. They are the fastest land animal. They can have claws that are non-retractable, and that helps them grip the ground, grab the prey. Of all the cats, though, the cheetah knows how to purr. Yeah, cheetahs purr like house cats. I'm kind of around by the kopis over here. Kopis are large rock formations that jut up from the savannah in this little island of stone. There's an ostrich over there on the right, and zebras laying down. And no two zebras have the same pattern. They're all different and unique. They have a very powerful back kick. If lions get too close to zebras, they can break their jaw with their back kick. Little round animal laying over there with the zebras on a white blaze, called a bonnebuck. The bonnebuck is extinct in Africa because of the poaching activity in the 19th century. You'll find them only in a reserve. They're not wild anymore. There is a lion here, but it's really hard to see him. He's underneath that crooked tree, laying down pretty flat. There's like a female right there that I see. Maybe a male is behind her. Lions are the largest carnivore in Africa. They weigh around 500 pounds or more. A lion roar can be heard about 5 miles away. Yeah. Oh, warthogs. Warthogs are the largest furry animal in Africa. They back into a burrow with a sharp tusk sticking out. The whole family of warthogs right there. See, one doesn't even have all those real big tusks yet. That's probably a young warthog. This white and tan animal, the curly horns laying on her right near the edge of the road off to the right. This is Addax. Annex antelope are desert animals. They can survive their entire lifespan and never drink a drop of water. The ostrich lay their eggs. And there's white rhino way back there. See the white rhinos way back there? Yeah. Yeah, now white rhinos, that's how I say their name. White means wide. Refers to a wide mouth they have, wide and broad square mouth. Great efforts gone in to help protect the white rhino, but sadly, unfortunately, the poachers are constantly going after them for the horns. They don't care if it's black or white. They just want the horn. These poachers are ruthless. They're well financed. They have advanced technology, tracking down all the animals. Yes. And the white rhino is larger than black rhinos. They're 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. They cannot see very well. You know, rhinos have very poor eyesight, but they have a good sense of hearing. Looking up in the hillside up here on our left, this is scimitar horn oryx. Oryx are desert animals, and if you look at their horns, they look like the shape of a scimitar sword. So they get their name. Back in the 1960s, the oryx started to decline, but by the 1980s, their population was declared extinct in Africa. Recently, there has been some oryx re-released into the country of Chad, and they've had a number of births, multiple births. They've been very successful with the breeding program in the country of Chad. They've released at least 25 oryx back into their native home. And all the people that live in Chad are very excited to see this iconic animal that used to roam all around the country of Chad out there in Africa. They're about ready to release about another 25 pretty soon too. So success story for oryx is happening right now. All the animals that you've seen need your help and support. The Disney Conservation Fund is supporting this reserve like others in Africa. If you'd like to donate, please do. Every amount, we will match it 100%, no matter what the amount is. You want to see some more animals? Because we're going to be going back to the Warden's Post. Check out Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, where you see gorillas and meerkats, naked mole rats. Hippos are underwater too. If you're going to Rafiki's Fun and Wash today, the train service starts at 10 o'clock this morning. And at Rafiki's, you can meet my friend Rafiki Chippendale. Learn about conservation efforts, recycling programs, how to create habitats for your backyard. Don't miss the best show in Africa, Festival of the Lion King. It's rated #1 in Africa. Don't miss that show. Don't forget your belongings. Take everything with you. This is Simba 1, and it's the name of my truck. Have fun. Come back to the animals.
Well, that about wraps things up for this episode. Special thank to Michael Pitcher for producing our intro and outro music. Find him at michaelpitcher.bandcamp.com. Other music by The Disney Company. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a review. You can also subscribe on Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. To reach us on social media, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at OLS_podcast, Instagram at One Little Spark Podcast, or email us at onelittlesparkpodcast@gmail.com. For show notes, pictures, and more, check out onelittlesparkpodcast.com. For myself and Courtney, thanks for listening, and just remember, tomorrow is just a dream away.